What if the greatest burden in your life isn't your lack of opportunity, but it's your awareness of what you're capable of becoming? Think about that for a moment. What if the pressure you feel isn't coming from the circumstances, your critics, your finances, or even your responsibilities? What if the pressure is coming from the gap between who you are today and who you know you could be? This is the Double Edge Factor, where high performance meets peace of mind and faith meets focus. I am your host, Rod Manuel, and peace and blessings unto you. Before we get going, be sure to like, follow, and hit that subscribe button, because the more positive interactions you put out there, the more they push this podcast to people who've never heard it before, which, of course, will allow us to reach new ears and have a greater impact on more people around the world. And if you want to perform and live at your highest level, head on over to rodmanuel.com. That's RODMANUEL.com. Join the email list, and remember to like, follow, and subscribe. All right. Today's conversation is about something that every ambitious person eventually faces: potential. Not talent, not giftedness, not opportunity, but potential. Because there always comes that moment, a moment in your life when you realize you were created for more. You begin to see your responsibilities that other people don't see. You recognize gifts that God placed inside of you. You start sensing that your life has a greater purpose than merely surviving, paying bills, and making it to the weekend. And while that realization is exciting, it can also be incredibly heavy. Because once you become aware of your potential, you can no longer pretend you don't know it's there. See, potential creates responsibility, and responsibility creates pressure. The question becomes, how do we carry the responsibility of our potential without allowing the pressure of it to crush us? So, today we're going to explore that question through one of the most powerful stories in Scripture. We're going to go and look at the life of Moses a little bit, because Moses understood what it felt like to be chosen for something greater while simultaneously feeling unqualified, overwhelmed, and afraid. Most people believe that ignorance is the greatest limitation. I disagree. I think awareness can be far more uncomfortable. Person who doesn't know what they're capable of can settle comfortably. But once you know that there's more inside of you, complacency becomes painful. You start noticing wasted opportunities. You begin seeing habits that are holding you back. You recognize excuses that really no longer make sense. And you become aware that God has entrusted you with gifts that were never meant to remain dormant. And you see, that awareness, that's what creates the tension. Some of you listening today know exactly what I'm talking about. You know you could write that book. You know that you can launch that business. You know that you can lead. You know that you could become healthier. You know that you could strengthen your faith. You also know that you could become the person you've always envisioned. And because you know it, every day that you delay feels heavier and heavier. And that, my friends, is the responsibility of potential. Okay, when we first encounter Moses, we see a man with tremendous potential. But potential isn't the same thing as readiness. Moses was born for leadership. He was positioned uniquely. He was educated uniquely. He was prepared uniquely. Yet, despite all of those advantages, Moses spent years in obscurity tending the sheep in the wilderness. Then came the burning bush. God called Moses into his purpose, and Moses immediately started offering excuses. Who am I? What if they don't believe me? What if they reject me? What if I fail? And I love this story because it destroys one of the biggest myths about purpose. The myth is that people who fulfill great callings are always confident. Moses wasn't confident. He was reluctant. He wasn't eager. He was more hesitant. And you see, he wasn't fearless because he was always full of concerns. Yet, God still called him. And why? Because potential is not about your confidence. It's about your assignment. God didn't call Moses because Moses felt ready. God called Moses because Moses was capable. And many of us are waiting for confidence before we move. And confidence rarely comes before action because confidence grows because of that action. All right. One of the greatest mistakes ambitious people make is believing that they must immediately perform at the level of their potential. And that belief creates unnecessary stress. Potential isn't a destination. It's really a capacity. Think about it. Potential is not guaranteed. Potential is a possibility. So a seed contains the potential to become a tree, but no one becomes frustrated when the seed isn't a tree tomorrow. Growth takes time. Development, it takes time. Maturity takes time, right? The pressure often comes when we confuse today's performance with tomorrow's possibilities. You are not required to become everything overnight. You're responsible for progressing faithfully today. All right, faithfulness over protection. Moses didn't become the great leader of Israel in a single day. He grew into that role. Every challenge strengthened him, every setback refined him, every obstacle developed him. Likewise, your responsibility isn't to prove your potential. Your responsibility is to steward it. Stewardship means developing what you've been given. It means honoring your gifts, it means growing intentionally. It means showing up consistently. It means refusing to waste what God entrusted you with. Potential becomes dangerous when we worship outcomes more than the process, because then every delay feels like failure. Every setback feels more permanent. Every obstacle feels personal. But growth doesn't work that way. Growth can be messy. Growth can be uncomfortable. Growth requires patience. And growth often happens long before visible results will ever appear. One of the reasons potential feels so heavy is because we start comparing our beginning to someone else's middle. We compare our chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20. We compare our preparation to someone else's accomplishment. Comparison magnifies pressure. Purpose reduces pressure. When you focus on your assignment, you stop obsessing over everyone else's timeline. You see, God didn't call Moses to become David, and he didn't call David to become Paul, and he didn't call Paul to become Peter. Each had a unique assignment, and that's the same. The same is true for you. Your responsibility is not to become somebody else. Your responsibility is to become who God created you to be. That realization alone can free you from enormous pressure. Okay, let me give you 5 daily practices that can help you manage the pressure of becoming who you are capable of becoming. Number 1, focus on today's assignment. One of the quickest ways to become overwhelmed is to carry tomorrow's responsibilities. Many people are stressed because they're trying to solve problems they don't even have. They're worrying about next year, next month, 5 years from now, because you see, today's challenges require today's strength. Tomorrow's challenges will require tomorrow's strength. And see, the lesson is quite simple. Stop carrying the weight of your entire future. Focus on being faithful today and ask yourself each morning, what is the most important thing God has placed in front of me today? Then you just do that well. All right, what I'd like to do is give you 5 daily practices that can help you manage the pressure of becoming who you are capable of becoming. Number one, focus on today's assignment. One of the quickest ways to become overwhelmed is to carry tomorrow's responsibilities today. Many people carry the stress of tomorrow because they're trying to solve those problems that they don't even have yet. They're worrying about next year, next month, 5 years from now. You see, today's challenges require today's strength, and tomorrow's challenges requires, of course, tomorrow's strength. The lesson is quite simple. Stop carrying the weight of your entire future. Focus on being faithful today. So ask yourself each morning, what is the most important thing God has placed in front of me today? Then do that well. Number two, measure progress, not perfection. Perfection creates pressure. Progress creates momentum. Too many people are discouraged because they are comparing themselves to an unrealistic standard. They only celebrate those outcomes, but never celebrate the growth. But growth matters because if you're more patient than you were 6 months ago, that, my friends, is progress. If you are more disciplined than you were a year ago, that is progress. If your faith is stronger than it used to be, that also is progress. Potential unfolds through progress. It rarely arrives through dramatic transformation. So learn to appreciate those small victories because small victories become significant victories over time. Number three, separate your identity from your performance. This one is critical. Your performance, it can fluctuate. Your identity should never. Some days you'll win. Some days you'll struggle. Some days you'll execute flawlessly. Some days you'll miss the mark. But your worth is not determined by your results. You are not valuable because of what you accomplish. You are valuable because of who you really are. The pressure becomes unbearable when we attach our identity to our achievements. Because that with every setback, that's going to start to feel personal. Every mistake is going to still feel permanent, and every failure feels like a verdict. But God doesn't love you more when you perform well, and He doesn't love you when you stumble less. Remember that. Number four, build margin into your life. Potential grows in healthy environments, not exhausted ones. Many high performers make the mistake of treating rest as a reward. Rest is not a reward. Rest is a responsibility. Even God modeled rest, not because He was tired, but because He was establishing a principle. You cannot sustain excellence while ignoring recovery. So protect your mind, protect your peace, protect your spirit, protect your relationships, protect your health. Because a burned out version of you cannot fulfill your purpose. And number five, this is the one that I struggle with the most. Trust God's timing. Perhaps the greatest source of pressure comes from impatience. We want to grow now. We want results now. We want success now. We want answers now. But God often develops us before He promotes us. Moses spent years in the wilderness before leading a nation. David spent years as a shepherd before becoming a king. And Joseph spent years in prison before actually entering the palace. The preparation was not the punishment. The preparation was necessary. So maybe, and just maybe, you're in a season where things feel slower than expected. Maybe you're wondering why your potential hasn't fully manifested yet. So don't mistake preparation for delay and don't mistake development for denial. Trust that God is working on you before He works through you. And with that, I'm going to leave you with today's double-edged message. The responsibility of potential is not about becoming extraordinary overnight. It's about honoring what God placed inside of you so that you can do this one day at a time. You don't have to carry the pressure of becoming your future self today. You just simply have to take the next faithful step. And when you do that consistently, day after day, month after month, year after year, you will wake up one day and realize something remarkable. You didn't become your potential all at once. You grew in it. That is it for today. If this episode added value, clarity, or even one push you needed, leave a comment and share it with someone who needs to hear it. The only way we grow this podcast is when you guys share it. The more you share, the greater impact we can have on more people around the world. And if you want to live and perform at your highest level, head on over to rodmanuel.com. That's RODMANUEL.com, where you will find resources, coaching tools, and more to help you live, lead, and perform at your highest level. You can also order a copy of my latest book, Faith on Demand, which is also available on Amazon, as well as other exclusive content. And as I always say, be intentional with your words, be intentional with your thoughts, and be intentional with your actions. And always find a way to be a blessing to someone else today.